So hello everybody, welcome back. I wanted to talk to you right now of a series on how is life here in Venezuela. So obviously, I'm talking about normal life, regular life for me, and sometimes it might be my friends or something if I specifically say so. But it might be general. I'm talking about the process of how your life is going to look like or be like if you're experiencing hard times. And the things that you might want to get ahead of yourself so that you can plan for this and ahead of time and so that you can get it. Before I continue, I wanted to remind you that down below is my email in case that you want to help me out by sending an Amazon gift card. So thank you very much. I really, really, really appreciate that one because, I'm in Venezuela. So, so here I go. So, by the way, I'm going to do this in segments because, I can't tell you every, a daily thing, like a blog or something, because that might be difficult for me, especially because, I don't want to share personal things that I do share with one of, 2 or 3 people, that one of them is in the US, So, she's already kind of looking at me kind of like, right. So whatever, so I'm going to do this as best as my ability. So first of all, keep in mind that, like I have said to you, I live in a city, so no rural area. Rural areas have a different, they have a hell of a lot of a different kind of life. And life there, that one is like, I don't even know how to begin to explain the differences. And secondly, I do not live in a big city. I live in a medium-sized city, industrial city. Like I have said before, secondary kind of industry. So the first industry is the one that gets raw materials. The second one is the one that has factories, meaning mine. And the third one is the one that goes to services. So you have to understand that there is a big difference depending upon the speciality of your city. If your city specializes in the primary industry, meaning the raw materials and stuff like that, then your economy and your lifestyle is going to be completely different from the secondary industry, which is mine. And then that one will be entirely different from the one that is tertiary, meaning the one that is provided with services and more development kind of thing. So let me explain this right off the bat so that you can get, this point. If you live in a city that has a lot of tertiary industries, meaning a lot of services and stuff like that, you can expect, because these cities usually, not always, but usually, they have more people. The density of the population is higher. And they have other kinds of issues because services depend upon electricity, water, and internet. Period. You don't have one of those 3, you're screwed. And your company is kind of screwed. So, it's hard. That one, it is the economy, the economy base and stuff like that is going to become a problem. You will say that the other 3, the other 2 industries also depend upon these things. Yes, but not in the same, level kind of deal. And I'm going to explain a little bit more of that later. But the point is that these cities have more people. These cities also have more demand for the same resources. So, for example, the electricity is measured in kVA. And if you live, for example, in Caracas, and the city demands more electricity at certain times, then you will have very likely a hell of a lot of more problems than my city, because my city kind of has like a stable kind of demand. So this is what I'm talking to you about. The more demand that you have for a service, the more likely that the service is going to collapse. So that's why I said not in the same level. So anyway, also, if you live in a rural area, it will also depend upon what type of rural area you're in. And you're like, what? Well, I'm thinking in terms of accessibility. So, for example, you might be in a town that has, let's say, 500 people. If you live in a town that is 500 people, then basically you either become prepper by yourself, meaning the 500 people have to come together and figure out how the hell to deal with everything, but alone, meaning you have to care of your own buildings, your own roads and everything, because you are too small. The government cannot handle you. Because let's say that they have to, fix a transformer for electricity. And they have to choose where to put the transformer. In a city that requires, electricity for 10,000 people, or you, that are 500. So basically, you're screwed. If you are kind of bigger, let's say, 10,000, maybe 50,000, around that, then you can expect gangs. And you can also expect shootouts frequently. And you can expect not having electricity frequently. So for the same reason that I just mentioned. People, the electricity is going to be delivered mostly to cities, not rural areas. Because cities require more because they have more people. And roads are going to be a problem, especially if you live in a rural area, because those places have a lot of bridges and a lot of access that cities may not have. For example, if you build a city, the streets are already built. They might require maintenance, but they are already built. While if you are in a small rural area, you are kind of making roads on your own. So basically, it's another kind of, like I said, situation. It's also a big problem if you live in a rural area, the fact that people, and I don't mean people are going to steal all your garden supplies and all of the things that you have out of place. And if you have a generator that is, too noisy or whatever, people will know. There is a saying that says, small town, big as hell. Yeah, that's because everybody will know everybody. And if everybody knows that you have something, you are a target, period. And that includes, garden and stuff. And this is a huge problem. Also, banks. If you live in a rural area, there might be one bank for 10,000 people. And that means no cash for you unless you know the manager and the manager, is in your pocket kind of thing. And also no cash for you. And it also means, no access to internet. And it also means no access to a lot of things. So if you want to, for example, have the cable TV repaired, then you will probably need to pay a technician. You can't pay the company because the company cannot send someone to fix cables and fix telephones and stuff like that to rural areas because it is not feasible. Because the technicians, the very few technicians that there might be, they are all in the cities. And the ones that are in towns, like small towns and rural areas, they are probably not going to work for the amount of money that the company is paying. So if you want the technician to come to your house, you're probably going to have to pay. And by the way, if that technician is not very good at his job, or it is a guy that just wants to come collect money every month, then then he might repair, or she or he might repair some things, and then you will have to pay again and again and again every month to try to get it fixed because, you can't call somebody because the people that are working and they are, because they are charging good salaries and stuff, they are in the cities. So you have to understand all of these things when it comes to rural areas and city areas. Now, the difference between the first kind of industry, and the second kind of industry is this one. If you are mining gold and something that can be traded, silver, gold, whatever, then you do not need machinery to do it. You might be thinking, no, you do. No, actually, you can do it the way that people did it before, years ago, hundreds of years ago, when they were doing mining things, they didn't have, electricity or technology. So now you don't even have the need for cash, because you can trade gold, silver, whatever the hell you're mining, salt, whatever the hell you're mining, you can trade it right away. So there is no, it's like, basically for certain kinds of companies and stuff, like banks or whatever, you don't exist, basically, because it's not worth it. See, let's say that you want to create a bank, and you want to do it in a rural area. Yeah, the problem is that there might be need for a bank. Oh hell, yes, there is. But the problem is, you build a bank, and then how the hell are you going to manage having lines of literally 2,000 people outside of that bank to try to get cash, and then having riots, and then having things just because you put the bank in there? See? But if you put it in a city, no problem, because there are other people, if they can go to your agency, they can go to another agency, they can go to someplace else. So it's kind of like, it's safer and it's better for the company to stick to the third type of industry, which is, kind of more stable. So rather than, a rural area or a place that, they have gold. I mean, if you have gold in your town, why will you, need cash? You can just trade the gold. So depending upon where you are, that is going to affect a hell of a lot of things from your life. Now, the second is city, which is mine. Like I said, it's kind of like middle, meaning we do not have shootouts frequently. Hell no. We have electricity kind of frequently. No so much of a big deal. We can have water, but it's a huge problem, but it is not an extremely bad problem. Okay? Rural areas have access to cleaner water and better water, and they have, hell, you can probably walk down the street and get water from a river or something. But in a city, oh hell no, you can't get water unless they send it through the pipe, or unless you're collecting it from the rain, or unless you're doing a hell of a lot of other things. So, like I said, different kind of settings, different kind of situations, different kind of things, and it's just a hell of a lot of way of thinking. If you live in a rural area, and the people decide to loot the only supermarket that you have for 10,000 people. If that supermarket is empty, like let's say that you went home because you worked today, and you came home and you are tired and you went to bed, and last night when you were sleeping, the whole town decided to loot the only supermarket that there was there. So yesterday you went to the supermarket and it was okay. Today, you want to go to the supermarket and it is completely empty. And guess what? There is no other supermarket. There is nothing. And basically now you have money, you have everything. You might have electricity, you might have power, you might have whatever, water, everything. But if the supermarket is empty, that supermarket requires at least 1 week to fill up again. And if you didn't buy food before the supermarket was looted, then you're done. You either have to move out of that town, or you have to travel to another town to try to get food. Now, traveling from town to town, oh hell, it's a hell of a lot of other mess, especially if you do not have a car. So, like I said, it's the priorities and the settings are going to be entirely different if you live in a city, if you live in a small town, even within a city, and if you live in a rural area, and if you live in an area that is primary or a secondary or a tertiary kind of deal. And you need to pick one. And you need to figure out which one your place is, because that will change everything. So my, process of thinking and everything, the ones that I'm going to be talking to you about, are based upon that. Basically, we have access to several malls. In the secondary and tertiary industries, most of the time, you will have access to several kinds of malls. If you are in a place that is a primary industry or a rural area, you very likely do not have a lot of access to several malls. So that will influence a hell of a lot of things also. Because if you have a lot of malls, then you probably have a lot of banks. You also have a lot of choices, as in supermarkets, pharmacies, whatever. And it also means that you have probably a way to get there by walking. Even if you have to walk half an hour, but you can walk. Well, certain places, obviously, you wouldn't walk no matter what, because, it's not safe. But generally speaking, you can walk. Now, you have to learn how to walk and all of these things. Oh, hell yeah, but, that's another thing. So you have to figure out if you have access to several malls. And you have to figure out where are the gas stations near you, and then where are the supermarkets, and where are the pharmacies, and where are certain kinds of stores that you probably need to, for later. So I'm going to talk to you of the recent data, meaning we are now in hyperinflation and all of this. I might be mentioning things that happened before, so that you can kind of notice how it evolved, the whole thing. But, I'm just going to go and tell you about the things that are happening kind of now. So, just try to keep up with my idea, because it might be difficult for you to understand. Because quite frankly, every time that you try to explain this to somebody that is abroad, the person might get frustrated like hell. And they might even think that you are lazy. They might think that you are lying. They might think that you are overreacting. They might think that you are insane. And they might say that they can do it better than you. And the answer to that is, of course you can do better than me. Hell, if you are in a place that has everything, then why the hell do you complain? So, you will argue with a lot of people that are out of state. For example, let's say that you are in the US and you're in Florida versus somebody who is in New York. People in New York probably have access to, transportation systems and things that in Florida do not exist, like the subway or whatever. And people in New York may have access to better internet and security systems and stuff like that people in Florida. However, people in New York have to deal with snow, and they have to deal with a lot of other issues that Floridians do not. And if you are talking to somebody who is in New York and you are from Florida, and then you're saying, hey, we have a hurricane here and I can't do anything, I have to run to prepare for the hurricane, the person in New York might be like, yeah, it's just a storm, just forget about it. Yeah, kind of like that kind of fight you will have a lot, with a lot of people that will never be able to understand. And especially when you're trying to make something work. For example, when you're trying to send money from one place to the other one. Let's say that you have a brother or a sister in New York, and then you're in Florida, and then you're like, I need the money now. And then the person is like, yeah, but I don't have internet, so give me a minute. I will go to my neighbor's house to see if they have internet, so wait. And then you're like, you're trying to get the freaking internet, or you're trying to get whatever, and then the other person is kind of like, you're taking too long. What the hell is wrong with you? You're in New York. You have everything. Yeah, well, New York doesn't have everything either, Just like you have hurricanes and other people might think that they are storms, well, they have something else, and you might think that it's just a snow or it's just a sneeze, So you can't judge somebody else's situation. If you do, then you're going to be screwed. And then you're going to fight. A lot. And I do mean a hell of a lot, especially when it comes to technology things and platforms. Okay? Because for all I know, let's say that you forgot your password or whatever, and then they send the text code to a telephone, and then you are like, yeah, but that telephone got stolen, which is something that the companies do not account for when telephones get stolen, or when the telephones are not working anymore, or when you moved and then you forgot to change your freaking telephone, and then you don't know how the hell to fix that, and then you have that problem on top of the fact that maybe, let's say that now you are in the US, and now if you are in California, you cannot access let's say that you open an account in, I don't know, let's say PayPal, and you open the account on PayPal in California, and then you're like, yeah, I moved to Florida, so I'm trying to change the address, and change my account from California to Florida. And then the PayPal company is like, oh, hell no, I'm sorry. You either open a new one, or I don't know what to tell you, because you can't change the freaking address from California to Florida. Why? Because of laws, regulations, whatever. It's kind of like that. When you have something that is opened here in Venezuela and you try to change it to another country, you can't. And vice versa. If you open an account in the US or whatever and you try to open it here, you can't, because the IP addresses do not let it happen. And then you have to open new things, and then the IP addresses would say that you're here from Venezuela, and then the company might say, hey, this company cannot do business in Venezuela, and then they close your accounts and stuff like that, and it's insane. Is just insane, and people that are not there are not going to be able to understand you. And you better know these things beforehand. That's why the first thing that you really want to try to do is figure out a way to recover passwords and things, not from a telephone code necessarily, but maybe through a secondary email or something else. And if you want more information about how to handle problems with cell phones, I already have a video about 40 minutes that is talking to you about all the problems that you will have with cell phones. So, just letting you know that one right off the bat. So anyway, this is like an introduction for that kind of a video, so that you understand this, okay? So thank you.